He was the eldest son of my mother, and I followed him. I'm the second born. As an African, when you grow up, when there is an elder son or a daughter, the elder looks after the younger. We grew up together, loving one another. To me, he was my elder brother, my friend, my father. 3 in 1.
Benedict Daswa was a young man in a part of our diocese, which at that stage was called the homeland of Venda. He belonged to a sub-tribe within the Venda tribe called the Lemba, who claim affinity with Jewish culture and traditions and see themselves, in fact, as black Jews. Benedict was born in the late 40s, grew up as a traditionalist, became a Catholic before going to teacher training college.
Actually, my dad was not educated, or he was not a learned person. But however, we learn a lot from him. He used to plant vegetables and tobacco, trying to make his family be successful, that we shouldn't run short of food. He used to have, he had 2 small farms, a plot, but he used to plow many maize, and we sell maize, and we have food, enough food. My father was a builder. He built many schools together with the local headmen. So it was, I would say, we learned a lot from our parents.
He came from a family of hard workers, so already the idea of hard work was actually part of his own family culture. Then when he became a Catholic, he got a new insight into all of this and began to realize that work is very important also as part of the Christian way. And he discovered from Father Benedict Daswa, who wasn't yet father, he was a catechist in those days. He discovered from him about the motto of Saint Benedict, or et labora, to pray and to work.
You know, when you look at the way he lived his life, it's exactly like how the late Father Benedict Rissimati lived his life. That I must share what I have with the others. I must also listen to somebody's problems, and I must work hard.
So he was able to combine very well his already traditional, or his love of work that he got from his family, and now he saw a deeper insight into the value of work. Work really is prayer. It's not just so much work and the prayer, pray and work. Work is also prayer, and he was able to combine his life and to see that there was no contradiction between praying and working, and he found that kind of balance, that sense of unity in his life, and that's why he promoted the value of work very strongly, as well as the value of prayer, seeing them as merging and coming together, and the kind of full flowering, as it were, of the normal Christian way of life.
The name Benedict is the name that he got when he was baptized. His real name, when he grew up, he was called Tshimangadzo Samuel Daswa. He took the name Benedict from his catechist, his former catechist, the late Father Benedict Daswa, he used to come and give catechism lessons over here. People used to sit around getting these instruction lessons, and it was the question and answer method. There were about 500 questions which one should go through before you were baptized.
For him it was not enough just to receive the sacraments, going to church and go home and live his own life and come back again the next Sunday. But his conviction was that he is a changed person, a transformed person. That is why he wanted to witness to those who had not yet received.
After qualifying as a teacher, he became very active in the church, active in the community, active in the school and educational circles, being a member of a teachers' union, also very active in the whole area of sport, active in the cultural life and the political life also of his community as an advisor and the secretary to the local headman.
This is Xolelo Primary School. That's where Benedict Daswa started teaching immediately after coming from Tshimangadzo Training College. Over that side, you can see the old, small building. That's where he was staying while he was still teaching here. That was his house until he was promoted as principal of Mweli Primary School. When I approached him way back in 1978, in December, we were seated under that mango tree. That's where we had a prayer first before we could come to the business of the day. And you know, he was a good cooker. Because instead of saying somebody should prepare tea for us, he prepared tea for us himself. These nice orange trees, they were planted by him. And they're very sweet. He was gifted. He was gifted. You see him in the garden, you won't believe that it's a principal of a school, because normally principals, most of principals and teachers at that time, they would think that going to the garden and work in the garden, it's not for an educated somebody. He changed that thinking. After school, you'll find me in my overall working in the garden. But when I go to school, I must show that I'm going to a different place altogether. And the respect first come from myself. Don't expect to get respect from somebody else when you don't respect that particular person.
uthi uhle bakwa ungangena dingweni. Hayi wangata ungangena. Hayi uhemba ngoku.
Here we are at Benedict Daswa's house. It was built around 10 years before his death, around there. He built it by himself. He didn't get anything from the bank or whatever. He saved for a long time. People were jealous of him because so many teachers, so many principals at that time couldn't manage to buy a car and to build a beautiful house, a big house like this one. But he managed because he used to save. I have no other good words to can describe him, but the man was so generous. I remember when the year that I was promoted to become the principal, and I said, Benedict, I've been promoted to become the principal of a school. That was way back in 1978, December. So I was about to start to be the principal the following year, 1979. So I came to him. What surprised me was, I came with my notebook. Then he said, put that away. Let's start with a short prayer. Well, he got a scripture reading from the Bible. Later on he said, well, let's pray. Afterwards, there are 2 to 3 things that I can remember. First of all was that he said, immediately when you become a leader, don't forget that you are still a human being. Don't forget that you are still a Catholic. And treat other people the way you would like them to treat you. You must be humble to the little ones, to the children. You must be humble to the committee, the school committee. You must be humble to their parents. You must also be humble to the teachers that you will be working with. Otherwise, you will find things difficult. Number 2, do your work diligently.
When he was here around here, every now and then he will just talk about prayer, about the work of God. What must we do in order to achieve this? What must we do to do this in order to help the people? You know, many of us here, really, we don't think about to help one another. But Benedict Daswa, he was the one who used to help the people. To me, that is to show this man is a differ from other people.
They took him as their father. If they had no food or running short of something, or if the child was ill or somebody was ill, because he was the only one with the vehicle here, he would take those people to the local clinic or even to the hospital. And sometimes when you say, well, take this for petrol, he would say, no, you have nothing. Keep it for your children. And they used to get meal from him for free.
Benedict was a very normal individual. He was a man who mixed freely with everybody. He was nowhere conceited. He was nowhere bashful. He didn't retreat from anything. He just led a life, full life, a perfect role model, really, for so many people today. And he had that kind of reputation of being very balanced, able to listen to different sides of a story and so on, able to give a good judgment, able to give good advice.
We are here to celebrate the fruits of someone's faith. Who is this someone? Tshimangadzo. I am here to say that I, Joseph, knew Benedict Daswa very well. He was my brother's son, even though we did not know each other for many years until we met at the church in 1972. Because we were not visiting one another. We became friends without knowing that we are relatives. I also remember the day I visited him at home, where I came to his house. We prayed after the evening supper with some of his brothers and one sister. After praying, we ate and we danced.
Benedict Daswa, yes, we were together here in the school. So he was a friend of mine, of course, yes. This was done by Benedict himself and myself. We were only two making this topic of this classroom. Well, the community of this vicinity refusing to do a teamwork. It's where I have seen that this man is a hard-working somebody.
When I lived here in 1975, there was no building here.
There was no building
no,
here.
Kids used to attend school in the shacks. So these two new building, two classes, it was built just because of Mr. Daswa's initiative. I think had he been alive today, this school will have been having a lot of things. Just unfortunate, he passed away before this new South Africa where there are so many opportunities.
During my time, just imagine 10 out station. It was a lot of job and one person. Then it was him who told me, my friend, don't worry, I will try to help me. To me, I find that that man, he was a pioneer according to his faith.
Also, as the post-Vatican II Church began to take shape in the late 60s and 70s, he became a very active, committed layman in the church, being a member of the local community, a parish council and the local church council, and being very involved in areas like catechesis, leading of Sunday services, working very closely with the priests, support him in every way, morally, financially, and by giving of his time and his talents.
When the priest was not there, when the local catechist was not there, he used to conduct Sunday service. Not only Sunday service, but also instructions for the youth, instructions for the elderly people. He had some men, some women, who helped him to fetch very nice stones that he liked to use at the foundation, to use to start building with them, and thereafter with the bricks. And when you look at the stones, they look very beautiful. They beautified the church, and he volunteered to use his baki to fetch the stones, not anybody giving him petrol, because at that time he was the only person who was working as a teacher.
I'm going to focus on Benedict Daswa as a community man and a committed Christian. As young Catholics and university students, we found ourselves very touched by the extraordinary life of Benedict Tshimangadzo Daswa. Amongst other things, we felt particularly touched by his sense of responsibility toward his community members. For example, his immense contribution towards the project of building the first Catholic church in his immediate community, which was to him more of a priority over constructing his own private home. It was only after the church project was completed that he then started to erect his own house, as promised to his own dear wife. As aspiring husbands and wives, we were also touched by the way Benedict Daswa treated his spouse. Frankly speaking, helping one's wife with household chores is not common amongst us African men. In actual fact, it is looked upon as a taboo in our society. As young people, we feel challenged to be more like Daswa in being more helpful and caring towards our future spouses. I will end there.
I never met Benedict Daswa, but I've heard and read about his life. Reading and listening to the life of the servant of God, Benedict Daswa, has brought about a positive attitude in my missionary life, specifically being in Sibasa Parish. Benedict Daswa's commitment to his mission to bring Christ to his community challenged and motivated me to bring Christ to the parish communities on Sundays where the priests can't reach. With the help of the Holy Spirit and through the intercession of Benedict Daswa, I feel confident to share my reflections and to be with the people on Sundays in different communities through sharing of the word. Benedict Daswa, as we know, was also passionate in working with the youths in his community. And last year, I enthusiastically started working with the youths in Sibasa Parish, but the response from the youths wasn't encouraging. I didn't want to give up because it's my passion to work with my fellow youths. So I started praying through the intercession of Benedict Daswa to help us as young people to be committed and passionate about our faith and to actively participate in church activities. Honestly speaking, as today as I am speaking, I feel there is a tremendous change in the participation of the youths. And I believe the prophet of our time and the servant of God, Benedict Samuel Tshimangadzo Daswa, is seriously interceding for our youths in the parish, in our diocese, and in our country at large. My beloved friends, youths, my dear parents, my brothers and sisters, let us continue to pray through the intercession of Benedict Daswa that God may help us become committed and passionate Catholics, to have a deeper understanding of our faith as Benedict did, to live our faith as he lived, become prophets of our time to our families, parishes, friends, our country, to our world at large as he is, and die for our faith as he died. Thank you.
We used to gather together during my small Christian community here at the church, even at his home. We were gathered there during the evening and say a spontaneous prayer, or even a small group of people, we used to pray. He was a man of prayer. There is no doubt about that.
Family prayer was the normal thing, and he made sure that it took place every day within his family. Before going to bed, they all prayed together and read the Bible. So he was a man who led a full life, active in various areas. In every area, he brought his Christian principles into operation, never making any secret of the fact that he was a committed member of the Catholic Church, always ready to start events and meetings with prayer, and always ready to speak up for his faith and never to shy away or to pretend he wasn't a Catholic. He was also a man who wasn't afraid to challenge his own culture, where sometimes men tended to treat women in ways which wouldn't be really up to the Christian ideal, exploiting them and leaving them with menial duties and not helping them with certain areas like looking after children, be cooking, cleaning the house and so on. And he saw no problem in helping in these areas when it was necessary.
Traditionally, you know, I was not allowed even to cook, even to look after the children, because they say hard work is normally done by women. I differed with him terribly. We had a church meeting, and in that church meeting, he said something, and he said, look, people, you must help your wives. Sometimes you must even wash the clothes if she's sick. You must even cook if she's ill. You must look after the little ones. So I said to him, no, man, with the little one, I can't do that. Then he said, well, I am talking from my experience. When my wife is busy doing something, I look after the little ones. So I said, no, man. You know, in Venda we used to say, well, a man who does women's job has been given Muti. Muti to accept everything that his wife will be saying. So he said, gentlemen and ladies, if that is the case to me, then it's fine.
He showed a certain affection for children, for his wife, which weren't very obvious in other African families where there was more reticence and a more remote kind of a relationship in public. So even in public, he was recognized as an affectionate and a good husband and with good relations with his wife and children. He had a special interest in young people. He wanted to kind of share those values with young people. That brought him into the whole area of football in the local village, where he was quite involved and tried very hard to keep the youth occupied. He also took them away sometimes for weekends, try and give them some formation in the faith and prayer life and give them the guidance for the future.
This is Mbahe Freedom Rebel Football Ground. This was started by the late Benedict Daswa. He wanted a soccer club which is free from Muti, which will not use Muti in any way. Only prayers reigns here. No Muti, no what.
People knew where this man stood. He was direct, he went for truth, he was lived by the truth. So he was a challenge to the community and to society. He was also a big challenge within the church itself, because not everybody could see the faith with the same clarity as Benedict saw it.
Today, even though we have moved into the new era in South Africa, in most of our societies, people have developed, they are much highly educated, staying in cities, in towns, and having good jobs. But I think a lot of us, most especially with a lot of us black people or African people, we come from a background of Muti, you know, because even now people still believe in it.
You see what I'm doing? I must put my on this bone. So the bones now are going to catch everything what I wanted to know about myself, because I give my spirit to the bones. So mina nhlangwini kwala navuka.
Timu yanga osika zwino ri fulufhela kha mushonga, ende ri naye muthu o ri farelaho thimu heyi nga mushonga, ene ri tenda khazwo ri zwi a ri shumela nga maanḓa. Ri tshifhinga tshinzhi ri a kona u wina arali ro tovhedza ndaela dza hoyu mane washu nga nḓila yone, ri khou wina metshe yoṱhe. Zwine hezwi ri tshi amba uri u a ri thusa mushonga, kha vhaṅwe vho ḓaho vha ya balelwa u thivha na dzibola dzashu tshiṅwe tshifhinga, ende zwi nga iṅwe nḓila fulufhelo ḽashu zwi ri fha ḽaki lune na musi wo rwa shotho ṱhukhu, bola yone ya kona u suvha kha muthu ya fhedza yo dzhena mapalani.
Say suppose the team that you are playing with have got Muti as well. What happens?
Ya tshifhinga tshinzhi arali na vhaṅwe vho vha nawovo zwi ḓo tou bva kha uri I ya fhirana. Tshiṅwe tshifhinga vha wana uri ri tamba u lingana, kana riṋe ra ita vhukhakhi ra phanishiwa nga zwezwo, ngori mara yone I ḓo vha I tshi khou tou langa tshayo, mara riṋe ra tou ita vhukhakhi ri a phanishiwa, mara vhunzhi ri vha ri tshi khou kunda. Zwino ndi tendela ndi wela kha thungo yavho ri sa izwi ndi tshi khou vha alusa vha songo vhona unga ndi ya vha thuzela thungo, ndi tenda kha zwa mushonga navho ndi tshi khou tou itela uri at least ndi kone u vha alusa, mara at the last ndi khou vha khadela uri vha ḓivhe Mudzimu.
As soon as he became a Catholic, he realized that there was no way that he, as a Catholic, could still go along with witchcraft beliefs and practices, because basically he saw that as an assault on human life, where so many innocent people were killed, and where there was an abuse, if you like, of power by people, and people were pointed out as assumed or presumed witches, and without any evidence whatsoever were often chased away from the villages and also frequently killed.
It's part of our background, part of our culture, something that we grew up with from a young age. A lot of Muti is used on young people as an omen to protect them against witchcraft from other people and enemies, so that when they are still young, so that they might be strengthened to fight off any bad spells in their life.
Witchcraft is really something very big, because it can cause conflict into the families.
According to my culture, the witchcraft is there, and it is happening everywhere.
There are so many people still today, even among Catholics, who still are afraid of witchcraft. They believe in this kind. Some of them do get sick sometimes, just because of the fear they have. But if seeing someone like Benedict or hearing about a man, a hero like Benedict, this will help many.
Eventually things came to a head in the late 80s. This is the period when negotiations started taking place unofficially between South African government and the ANC in exile. And also it involved other groups like church groups, business groups who were visiting those ANC leaders in exile. And the upshot of that was that in 1990, on the 2nd of February, the President de Klerk surprised South African more than anybody else. We surprised the whole world by announcing the imminent release of Mandela, of Nelson Mandela, Wallace Sisulu, Katrad, and the other ANC leaders, and the unbanning of all these liberation movements which had been banned by the government for many years. That was the very day when Benedict finally paid the price of his principal stand against witchcraft over all these years since he had become a Catholic. A few days previous to this, there was some lightning in that area which struck some huts.
Ujiwana zindazi zodia mdiwa mchariti. Wo mapungobvane palauri vashaviri chiri kari kuvanganiri bvezi tangu riye mungomeni vasatende.
During that lightning, then the community of that particular place, they said we should pop out something so that we can go to the Inyanga people in order to see who's the owner of this lightning. Then Benedict, as a Catholic member, he refused to pop out something.
He was the first person to say, I won't contribute that money, because I believe if there's certain things which are not going right here, we have to pray and try to sort out what is going wrong.
He completely disagreed with it and expressed his views very, very clearly and without any kind of ambiguity whatsoever. And soon afterwards, he was ambushed on his way back home in the evening, just when it was getting dark.
He met somebody with a bag of meal, so he wanted him to transport it to his home. Actually, he said, well, even if you can drop it here, I'll take a wheelbarrow the next day to take it to my home. So Benedict decided to take him straight to his home, and it was in the evening. His vehicle was coming from that direction, and when he arrived here, there was a big log of the fig tree that they took and barricaded the road. And when he arrived, little did he know that on either side of the road, there were people armed with stones. And when he wanted to open the door to remove the barricades, the stones started flying on his vehicle. So he left the vehicle here. He opened the door and he ran for his life. Now the Rondavel house that you see, he went straight to that Rondavel house. He realized that there were some people there because it was a shebeen. And yes, people were there. but they ran away, most of them. And we understand 2 boys entered inside. They dragged him out, and he was still pleading with them. But the mob was now coming, and they said, no, we want to do away with you. You have said it time and again that you don't want to work with us, you don't want to listen to us. When we say, well, we must do this, you just say the opposite. You say your faith is telling you this and that. So when they dragged him there, realizing that, well, there's no more chance, he pleaded with them that before they could finish him up, let him be allowed to pray. But he didn't finish up praying.
And he was brutally stoned to death and beaten to death by a group of young people. And from the beginning, the people, some of the people, especially the priests there, saw him as a martyr. So when they were burying him a week later, they wore red vestments in recognition of this.
Through the words, through his way of life, he wanted to live this new life, the good news of the gospel. And to me, he is a martyr.
His life is an inspiration for us because he stood for what he believed in as a Christian. He has showed us that it is not always the physical death we will experience, but we could encounter social death because of the values and ideals we hold on to dearly. Through it all, his family was always there for him and quite supportive at all times. We remain inspired by the apostle of life to hold on to our beliefs, principles, and ideals no matter what, and even up to a point of death if need be. As youth, we are inspired to pray earnestly like Benedict Daswa. It is written that the earnest prayer of a righteous person has great power and produces wonderful results. A courageous witness to the truth, Benedict, a secretary to the headman's council, and a confidant to the headman, always spoke out firmly against witchcraft. A man of courage and persistence, really understood what it meant to be a Catholic and stood for his faith. While he was strongly opposed to the use of witchcraft, he said in his words, "I don't want to be part of the killing of innocent people." As a teacher, he took responsibility for a lot of kids that were financially unstable and paid for their school fees in order for them to have a great future without anticipating anything in return. He did a garden so the children who were most poor could work in and sell the fruits of their work so they could pay their school fees also. He sacrificed a lot of his time for others, helping people in need, even strangers for that matter. For example, he once carried a bag of meal for one woman along the road on his way from work and accompanied her home without expecting any payment. Benedict is our brother, now and forever, and he has our best interest at heart, and he shows us the way. As Catholics, especially speaking on behalf of Acts Univen and Acts UL, as we are family in Limpopo, we are touched and inspired by this man of God. And I'll conclude with the words of Joseph Mikasa, one of Ugandan martyrs, and he said, "A Christian who gives his life for God is not afraid to die." And I thank you.
he stood up for the faith and gave his life for that. And it's a very, very great thing. That's why we even would call him an apostle of life, because of the step he took. I think he should be considered as a very important example to all the Catholics in our region, and an example and source of inspiration, really.
We are convinced that in the life and death of Benedict Daswa, there is a message which speaks directly to the hearts and minds of Southern Africans and can inspire millions of people of faith in Africa and beyond to embrace the life and the teachings of Jesus Christ and to live these out in their lives with joy and without compromise. We have been praying the novena for the beatification of the servant of God, Benedict Daswa. We believe that this cause is truly God's cause for His church, particularly here in Southern Africa. As more and more people get to hear about the story of Benedict Daswa, he will no longer be an unknown, an obscure figure from a little known poor village in South Africa, but he will become for more and more people a bright light of faith, a light of courage and truth, a light of service and love, a light defending all humanity. The message that Benedict Daswa's story conveys to us refuses to be extinguished.
As the program director has already explained, I'm the very first daughter, proudly born so, and proudly standing here in front of you this evening to talk about my dad. What a privilege. And I think any one of you who are present here, you understand the pride that I had today. I'm not alone. I've got a big family sitting over there on my left, on my right-hand side. And I'm so pleased that it's only two of my brothers that are not here. The very first born son is Semi Rufuno. He's sitting over there. Can everyone stand and give him a round of applause? This brother, we had so much journeys together. Journeys during St. Brendan's time, he knows. Journeys around when we're growing up, he knows that very well. And we've got very fond memories of our dad together. Another brother of mine is there. He's Buchiro Michael. He's sitting over there as well. Can he stand up so everybody can see him? Again, there's another brother as well. Remember, we are a big family. By Remba, we are always big, you know. Zote, Raymond, he's there as well as my younger brother. Only Mama Alicia, another sister, Tabero, Faith Daswa. She's sitting over there. We are only 3 girls. I don't know where to start, but I'm thankful I've got the courage to stand here and talk about my father, whom all of us we're very proud. I'm really glad that the foundation he created for his children, I can't put a price tag on it. All because he taught us how to be selfless, how to share the little that you have with others, More so when it comes to the Christian way of life. His vision was to invest in raising kids through Catholic teachings or Christian teaching from a very young age. He wasn't a father who said, well, because they are kids, I can't take them to church, I can't baptize them because they're still very young, they don't understand. He understood very well that investing on our future as a foundation was the most important thing. And I don't regret that, because now look who I am now. I'm still standing a very strong Catholic, and all because of him. He managed to role model a good Catholic home by teaching us to pray, getting us to church, whether rain or thunder, and I mean it. Imagine those meetings that he has to have with the priest after church. That to us was very annoying. As little kids, we couldn't understand. But now as adults, he's no longer there, but as an adult, I can influence my sleeping to the things of Christ, and that I'm very thankful for that. One of the closest to my heart is the fact that my dad initiated or started or founded an organization called Mbahe Youth Club that he founded years back in the 80s. His aim there was to get all the youth and to encourage and to motivate all the Bashabi or Mbahe youth to come together and to remain humble. We as his children are so grateful for the little time we managed to spend with him. I just feel so sorry for my little sister who's here, standing by my side, at my right-hand side, because you remember, those of you who were very close to my family will know that my mother was heavily pregnant with this girl here when the news of my dad's death was received. I am actually very disappointed with myself. I thought I would go through the speech without tears. Yes, as you know, the wounds will reopen and keep reopening. It's not an easy thing to accept, but we're here very proud. Yes, let me conclude to say, what a loving soul he was. His work and legacy that he left will forever live.
Ndizvidzia uri azvine vakuita ndizvitanganedza uri ndizvaudi uri muthu wofera ngo